Welcome to MaryIsTheNewEvangelization.com. And today we are going to address a serious topic, okay? And we're going to address it in a way that nobody wants to address it. And the topic is homosexuality, okay? Homosexuality. Now, nobody wants to address homosexuality because they don't know how to address homosexuality. They have no clue how to address homosexuality. Most people have no idea how to address homosexuality. So, let's see. Homosexuality, how do you address it? Well, the common ways to address it is there's nothing wrong with it. It's normal. Animals do it, and really, love is really the thing, the key. Love is more important than the fact that it's two men or two women. It's about love, right? That God is love. So what's it matter? The lovers, as long as there's love. So that's one way to address it. Okay. Another way to address it is that this is the sin of sins, and you're going to hell if you're homosexual. If there's something wrong with you, you should be what? You should be disposed of. Okay, like there's something wrong with you. Okay, now so you got people like that. You got the other side saying there's nothing wrong with homosexuality. Like, what's wrong? You got three noses. Don't even think about it. Okay, or you have people are like, well, it's not any of my business. I just live in my own little world, and whatever anybody else wants to do is fine with me, as long as they're not hurting me. Okay? So you have these different approaches. Okay, now, the one approach that nobody wants to take a serious look at, because it's probably the truth, okay, about this situation. Now, I got to know personally a number of Fransiscan alumni who are homosexuals, and I'm a Franciscan alumni as well. So I was not, really, I didn't know anything about homosexuality, nothing, other than I'm not a homosexual, and these people are, and shoot, they're different than me. Um, you know, Bible doesn't like it. So anyway, that's about the extent. And here I got a master's in theology from Franciscan and Regent. I didn't know how to deal with homosexuality in the right way, um, and nobody does. The church doesn't know how to deal with it. I mean, as far as I can tell, homosexuals definitely are not like gravitating to church. Okay, so they don't feel welcome, whatever. So anyway, I got to know a number of these people who graduated from a Catholic university and at one time were practicing Catholics who, when they realized they were homosexuals, they pretty much left the church, as far as I could tell, most of them at least. Didn't feel welcome. A lot of them are really upset at Franciscan. They didn't really have a serious, problem, but they're very friendly people. Most of them, not all of them. Some of them I had to block. They were ridiculous. They were sarcastic. They were perverted. They were disrespectful. Okay, so you know who you are. Okay, now that's the thing. But not everybody fell in that category. Okay, there's some just really good, down-to-earth people who happen to be gay, and they have different thoughts and views, They're not going to church, whatever, but they're nice people, very nice people. Polite, interesting, you know, cool. So, okay, I needed to you know, really look into it. Okay, now I've heard the fundamentalist Christian Catholic view that basically, you know, that's why America's gone down because of homosexuality. The homosexuals are the reason, you know, let's blame the homosexuals, right? The church, when the abuse scandal happened, let's blame the homosexuals, right? It was the homosexuals who covered it up, right? They had to be homosexuals. If it was covered up, it had to be the homosexuals. Or was the problem, well, if we didn't have homosexual priests, then we wouldn't have to cover it up. But we were covering it up for them to try to save them. Uh, okay, you know, that's a topic. That's a topic. I was in the seminary. There were homosexuals in the seminary with me. Okay, I was in Philadelphia. That's where a lot of the abuse happened and still unfolding, and. But bottom line is, um, the church is responsible, not the homosexuals. The church is responsible because any way you look at it, if they're going to blame the homosexuals, well then why did they ordain them? Okay, it's always going to come back to the church because they're the ones that made the decisions for the church. Those who are making decisions are the ones responsible. Well, these people lied. They never told me they were, a homosexual or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you can try to explain it away any way you want. Blame the homosexuals. Bottom line, the church has to take responsibility for what happened within their four walls. Okay? So, moving on. Now, okay, so we have this thing in our country where it's like homosexuals want to get married just like heterosexuals want to get married. Okay, so, and if you're against gay marriage, you're definitely a bad person. Okay, you're a bad person. You're a really bad person. Now, I'm married. I have 5 kids. Okay, every day I got to be concerned about my kids. Are they eating? Are they drinking? Are they getting educated? Are they healthy? Are they hanging out with the right people? Are they watching the right shows? Are they listening to the right music? Um, Full-time job times 5. Okay. Now, um, I know people that had 10 kids, 12 kids. Now, big difference. There's a huge difference between 2 homosexual people who want to get married and a heterosexual couple that want to get married and raise kids. Okay, I think it's pretty obvious that there's a difference between the two. So let's stop right now. We need heterosexuals. Homosexuals need heterosexuals because we're the ones who are procreating. Okay, unless you want to just see the human race become extinct. You're here, you're homosexual, you're here because your parents procreated. You wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for procreation. And that only happens in a man-woman marriage. So leave it alone. Let that stand. What you want is different. Don't call it the same thing. So, anyway, getting back to homosexuality, this is what I think. Honestly, I've looked at it, I've researched it, nothing else makes sense. Okay? There's no way God's going to make people homosexuals and then say in the Bible that Adam and Eve, you're to be fruitful and multiply, Adam and Eve. He didn't tell any other couples to be fruitful and multiply except from Adam and Eve. So Um, that's it. That's it. Okay? That's the only command to procreate, people, is to the man and the woman to procreate, and you do it in the context of marriage. That's what's going on. So anyway, so you feel left out. You feel like, oh my gosh. But this is what and I've told people, look, what I've read is the vaccines were soaked in mercury for like tons of years in this country. The vaccines that we gave to our kids were soaked in mercury. So, I knew something was up. I knew something had to be, tampered with. For a man not to feel like a man, or a woman not to feel like a woman, for a man not to be masculine, or for a woman not to be feminine, there's something that altered that. Okay? It's just common sense. Something altered or robbed you, really, of your masculinity or your femininity. And then from there, anything goes, right? I mean, you're still a human being, you still have feelings, this, that, and the other thing. Well, what happened to your masculinity? What happened to your femininity? According to the Italian scientist, he said that the mercury goes right to the brain as an infant, and it neutralizes something in the brain that is the personality development. Okay, now obviously it doesn't affect everybody the same way. Um, so some people sexually develop differently. Other people, like the autistic children, they're developing different than everybody else, right? The social, they're not even like the social skills are missing. Um, so you can't go around saying that this is God's will. This is how God made people. Um, you know, so different than the majority of people. So it's harder for a homosexual or harder for someone with autism. It's harder to get through this world, this life, when the majority of people are not like you. Okay, it's really hard. So, uh, God's not going to do that. He's not going to purposely make someone's life harder. That's not fair, right? So there's got to be another reason for it, okay? And this is where I believe, you know, what do they put mercury in our mouth for? The kid's mouth, their fillings, right? There's no reason to soak vaccines in mercury. Not necessary. Flu shots, mercury. Okay. They tested birds with mercury. The male ibises became gay. The study's out there. Now, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't affect everybody the same way. There's predispositions. You got to talk to, someone into that. But I'm just appealing to common sense. So we got to all pull together, right? If your kid's gay or you're gay or someone in my family's gay, the bottom line is it was never asked for. I didn't ask for my heterosexuality, and these people didn't ask for their homosexuality. They didn't. They didn't ask for it. I mean, it was like a shock when they realized they weren't attracted to the opposite sex. It wasn't a shock to me that I'm attracted to the opposite sex, because that's natural. But it's a shock to these people when they realize they're not attracted to the opposite sex. It's like, oh my gosh, I gotta come out. This is like, oh, that's telling you it's not natural. Okay. So does that mean that I'm not going to be friends with someone who's homosexual? No, absolutely not. These are my brothers and sisters. Okay. But the mercury hit them in a different way. So is it intentional? Is this intentional? Or just bad medicine? That you're going to have to figure that out. But you ask me, it's intentional. I think it was done on purpose. I really do. Anyway, appreciate it. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon at marysthenewevangelization.com. God bless.